Over the 3 years of making YouTube videos for this channel, there have been multiple ideas that I've come up with, but never fully developed into whole videos, whether it's because I didn't think it had legs and struggled to extend it into a full-length video, didn't think it was that great of an idea in the first place, or simply just couldn't be bothered to make because I had a feeling that it would take too long, and I'm busy, and considering I purely make these videos to vent, I feel I can just put them out in a casual format like what I'm about to do. So here we go. These are my lost videos that never got past the post-production stage. Or at least yet. I might end up making some of these in the future, who knows. After Avengers Endgame came out, I came up with the idea to do a series of videos where I would do like a full in-depth review of each MCU film. Well, not all of them, just some of them, around like a certain focus. And I actually made quite a few mock thumbnails for them, but as I said in my Infinity Saga reviewed video, I just don't give a shit about the MCU anymore, so all motivation has been lost to make those, especially because I didn't really think that they would have the steam to be full 20-minute videos like I wanted them to be. And also, I wasn't sure if I was even going to include this as part of the series, but I did write an over 10,000 word script where I rewrote the narrative for Ant-Man and the Wasp because I think that is easily the worst MCU film, and I touch on that on my wants and needs video and why that will likely never see the light of day. Last July, I rented this film called The Guest because it was written and directed by the guys who made You're Next, Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett, and that's an all-time favorite of mine, and I ended up being heavily disappointed by this and just didn't understand why most people seem to like it, so I was going to make a video similar to my Truth or Dare video showing why it's a pile of shit in my opinion. But I just couldn't find the words in the script, and I even rewatched the film and recorded myself doing so I could splice in reactions of mine along with the scripted parts of the video, but I just don't think I'll ever make it now, especially because a lot of people genuinely really like it, and given it's fairly unpopular, there's no way I won't come off as a dick for hating on it. I did make quite a few mock thumbnails for it though, they're pretty cool I think, but who knows, I might end up making it if I, for whatever reason, choose to watch this for a 4th time to try and jog my brain. Yeah, this was one of those things where you think of the idea and go, oh, that's so good that I won't write it down because how can I forget an idea so good? And then, I forgot it. Pretty much it was going to be a video where I compare Botwa and Horizon, as they are very similar games, but Botwa does pretty much everything better in my opinion, apart from the story. And I was just going to say how Horizon falls flat for not being more like Breath of the Wild in the way that there's so much freedom in that game, and it really feels like Breath of the Wild is what Horizon Zero Dawn wanted to be. And it's a shame because they released around the same time, but now that the dev team for Horizon have likely played Breath of the Wild, I'm really excited for its sequel Forbidden West and hope that they can incorporate some of the elements from Botwa into the sequel. But yeah, I forgot most of the points I was gonna make. If I replay Horizon, I will definitely remember them, but I most probably won't make it either way because it's just effort to get my own video game footage and it just kind of clashes with my editing style. Yeah, just like the last one, I thought it was so good that I wouldn't be able to forget it, but I did. But also, I'm kind of glad that I did forget it because I came up with that idea in July of 2018, so it most probably would have been bad. I think I remember that I was gonna joke that maybe he's just a bumbling idiot from space trying to make sense of Earth, which would explain the intro to the show where a beam of light hits the ground and he falls from it. Which, yeah, no, that would not have been good. This was going to come out around January of 2020, and I didn't end up making it because I don't like making whole videos on films I love, because constantly watching out of context clips from them kind of ruins it for me, and you know, just the whole idea of diminishing returns. But I was just going to talk about what makes it so great and like a modern classic, you know, how it subverts stereotypes, how strong the characters are, how it's a great feminist film, how it's a great gay film, and it shouldn't just be given those labels, because in my opinion, it just is the best American comedy film of all time. Yeah, I did make a thumbnail for it though, so here's that. You know when the Endgame poster came out and they forgot to put Denai Garai's name on it, so they took down the post and posted a new one 2 hours later? That was funny, but aside from that, I thought the poster was ugly as hell and is a very generic Hollywood blockbuster poster, so that inspired me to make this thumbnail and an outline of what I would talk about. Pretty self-explanatory. I was just going to talk about how lame most posters are and give examples, but also good examples on how to make a good poster. I kind of worked this into my Sony's awful marketing video, so I doubt I will ever make it now. Here's an example I can think of off the top of my head. This Homecoming poster I really love, and I actually have it on my wall. I just think it's so good because, first of all, nothing looks poorly composited and the lighting isn't off, which is a great start, but it tells us everything we need to know about the film. The Avengers Tower can be seen in the background, telling us that this is an MCU film. Spider-Man is laying down, showing that he is still learning the ropes, and this is near the beginning of him taking up the mantle as he's clearly tired, and he's also in his school blazer with headphones on, showing how young he is, communicating to us that this is also a high school comedy of sorts. And now here's a bad one. It's just Zac Efron standing on a white background. Fucking sick, mate. This is something that has been pissing me off for a super long time, and I've always had the incentive to make a video on it, and I even started a script and based it around this Hayao Miyazaki quote. But the thing is, I was gonna give examples in films and TV where the boy and girl end up a couple by the end despite it feeling really forced, but that is literally everything ever. So I kinda mentioned it in my unpopular opinions video when talking about When Harry Met Sally, and I bring it up quite a lot in my Letterboxd reviews as well. I was just gonna talk about how toxic the belief that men and women can't be friends because sex gets in the way, and how Hollywood are constantly reinforcing this idea and negatively impacting society because it creates this awkward split between men and women. Well, there's always been an awkward split because men are fucking trash, but making these films exacerbates that.
What do you mean?
Well, most men are just horribly misogynistic.
Now, what does exacerbate mean?
Right, no, Edgar, honestly, you're a fantastic filmmaker, but why the fuck is Liz with Sean? And I was just going to talk about how it, all stems from this idea of heteronormativity and how society, from the moment you're born, tells you you're going to go to school, go to work, get a wife. I've always loved the phrasing of that. And then have some kids. When you don't have to do that. And because films like this keep getting fucking made and reinforcing this outdated idea even more, so many people, most notably cishets, force themselves into these relationships they don't even want to be in because they've been told all their life they're gonna settle down, and they just conform to this stupid predetermined life. Heterosexuals have been doing this for so long that hating your spouse is a normalized thing in marriage and there's so many I hate my wife jokes in films. It's fucking ridiculous. What the fuck? Yeah, clearly this is something that really grinds my gears, and it's just really unhealthy. I actually started quite a few versions of this script, but one of them was based around this John Cleese quote of, "If you want creative workers, give them time to play," and I was going to talk about how the directors and screenwriters can't actually make good stuff because they are limited by Disney's release schedule, and I was going to talk about how they mass produce everything, and I was going to talk about how a significant amount of Phase 3 MCU films aren't good, and just how they seem to be getting lazier with producing them because they know people will see them anyway, so they don't even have to try. Once Eternals comes out and Black Widow comes out, see how good they are. Then I might still make it, I don't know. Yeah, I just came up for the idea and made the thumbnail after watching Host and didn't really think anything beyond that because I don't know why. I just couldn't be bothered to rewatch the two and go into detail as to why. Host is just better. It just is. And also, by the way, Unfriended isn't great. We all know that, but it gets too much hate, I think. This is the video I was referring to at the end of my Easter eggs video, and I just can't be bothered anymore. Firstly, I came up with the idea and made the thumbnail after episode 6 came out, so most of my points that I was going to make became somewhat invalid after what ended up actually happening. Because the whole time watching it, people were theorizing, "Oh, Mephisto's gonna be big bad!" And the whole time, I was just like, oh, please don't let that be the case, just let it be about Wanda and her grief. And a lot of the time, even though Marvel fans are really stupid, which is actually another video I've been planning to to make for like the past 2 years, but never will, because it's just straight up bullying. A lot of the time they are typically right about this stuff, so I was scared that that would actually happen, and I was going to talk about how that would be the failure, but thankfully that didn't end up happening, so I was just going to talk about everything else that makes it just a very average TV show leaning towards bad. But I pretty much touch on a lot of the stuff I would have said in the Easter eggs video, and that was originally going to be like a nice precursor to this video, but I feel like I don't really need to elaborate on any of those points. It's pretty clear how I feel about it, and you know, there were some things I was going to say in that video, like how I absolutely loved episode 2, but past episode 4, it's just back to your generic Marvel, just not even Marvel generic, just generic Hollywood action shit, like so bad. And then episode 8 is just a fucking meme, and then episode 9 is so lame and just plain. And also Elizabeth Olsen does not deserve an Emmy for this. As a long-time fan of her, I've seen pretty much most of her stuff. This is one of her worst performances. I can't believe she's getting so much praise for this. But yeah, obviously I have a lot more points than that, and I have a feeling, depending on how Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki turn out, that once, you know, all 3 of those are finished, that I'll make a other Marvel Disney Plus shows any good video, and if I do make that, then I'll elaborate more in that video. I'm not really sure what this was going to be. I made a mock thumbnail, wrote it in my notebook, and that was it. I think I was just going to talk about how their traumatic childhoods caused them to never move past the adolescent phase in life and just remain kids. I think I also never developed it beyond that comparison of their characters, because it's weird to compare Always Sunny with Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, actually, it's not, because it is just a group of misfits fucking about. But I mean, because it's Always Sunny versus family-friendly Disney product. So yeah. And also, I just doubt I will ever make it, because it's an interesting comparison to be made, but not an interesting video. More just a tweet. Okay, I'm going to do a quick fire round because I didn't realize how long this video was, and if I end up making a sequel to this video, which I most probably will, I don't want that to be too long either, so I'm going to quickly explain some videos that I most probably won't make, but I kind of want to. 1. I came up with the idea to make a video on Gus Johnson and how he mixes classic YouTube content with modern YouTube to make some really great videos, but I won't make it because it would just be me stealing his videos. 2. I thought about doing an interpretation/analysis of the lyrics of a song I really like by Chloe Morinodo called Girl on TV, but that's really not my thing, and also it'd just be copyright hell to get it made. 3. Want to do a video about how I believe Waves 2019 is the best film ever made because Trey Edward Schultz perfectly utilizes every tool in his toolbox, but I most probably won't because I love it too much to constantly rewatch it to make it. 4. Video about this film I despise called Better Watch Out in the style of my Truth or Dare video, but I honestly just fucking hate it way too much to rewatch it again to make the video. Oh, fuck. Okay, that's the video. Infinity Saga retrospective. Oh my god, my chair just broke. Did you hear that? Oh, what the fuck? Okay. It just collapsed in on itself. Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me.